Hey, the Pistons are scrappy, but it's quickly looking like we got all our balls in that lottery bag.
Down!
All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome back for another episode of DWMOD. It's all right bet on the back end as well. We're rolling through the NFC playoff pick'ems. Well, not NFC, NFL. We're also picking the AFC, guys. I'm sorry, we're picking them both. But hey, back again with us. We got Andy St. Clair, who's claiming to be soon to be back-to-back champion, and Anthony Finelli, who's letting you know he's in last place right now. Right.
Hey, I got 3 games. I got 3 games to make this my last bet come true, which is soon to be back-to-back champion.
Man, nobody's done it yet. Anthony, not out of it yet. Like I said before, man. Yeah, it's a bigger deficit than Andy made up last year by quite a few points, but it's been done. He took it in the Super Bowl last year, and last weekend, Andy gets 16 points on the board again. I got 15 on the board, and Anthony, you got 10 points on the board. So that
Not
brings
bad.
our standing. No, I mean, it's not. Listen, these games are not easy to pick. This year's been tough, right? I mean, it's been some good football games, man.
Yeah, we could have had another one too. Like that 2-point conversion by Tampa Bay was right. If they get that thing, that hits the 6, and then Detroit still wins. They've been good. A lot of good games.
Yeah, that analytics on that stuff is bothering the hell out of me. It just kick the extra point, and if you score, kick the extra point, you got overtime. There's a math equation that says you go for 2 now because it's a 50-50 chance. 50-50 chance based on some pretty simple shit. Either you get it or you don't. It ain't that simple, but they say it's 50-50, and then if you don't get it, you got a 50-50 chance of getting it next time to tie the game. You buying into any of that, Anthony? I hate it.
I think, you know what? I'm going to steal. I think it was Wilbon that said it is like analytics, but they don't take into effect who's behind it. Like, it's analytics in general, but it's like, okay, was the team actually driving? Did they score luckily? Like, who do they have on the field? That has nothing to do with it. It's based on purely numbers, which takes the complete, like, human element out of it. And I'm with you. It's just like, I get what they're trying to do. Like, oh, you get it. And then all the pressure's on them, to possibly mess up because you're going to get the ball back and you could win with but it's like you don't get it, then there's literally no pressure on the Lions. I mean, Tampa Bay, they could have called a timeout, somehow made them miss a kick. They just weren't even watching the clock because the game was over at that point.
Yeah, speaking of that, little controversy there at the end of the game that I didn't catch until people were putting it up online, but the Lions snapped it early and shouldn't have done that. And there's 30 seconds left, and Tampa Bay side a timeout. They could have ripped the timeout and made them punt it.
Right.
I think they just had a break. They were like, the game's over. Because they could have just. I mean, Detroit messed up, and then Tampa messed up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I texted you if Tampa scores, they're going for 2. I texted you. Like I like it. I like it in the playoffs. I like doing it there. The regular season. It's a little out of control, in my opinion. Sometimes they'll go. It's like at the 20, and it's like 4th and 3, and I'm like, just take the points. Kick that 38-yard field goal and be done. I do like it a little more when the games mean a little more. So I didn't mind Tampa doing it. If they at least were sold they were going for 2 one of the 2 times, do it first, definitely over doing it second. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 6 to 1, half dozen the other. I will tell you the one that bugs me the most. There's something happening in the national championship game that Michigan did. And this is the one that bugs me the most. The coaches will do it. When you have the ball, like at your own 45, almost 50-ish yard line, you're near midfield, right? You're winning the game. And it seems to always be in a situation where you're winning the game. The other team's a little frustrated, can't get anything going on offense. And you've got a 4th and 1, and they come out and go, let's go for it, man. Like, foot on the gas. Let's put the foot on their throat. And I'm like, that analytic is so dumb. You've got a team against the ropes, Washington, who is feeling like we can't get anything going. And then Michigan goes for that 4th and 1, and Washington stuffs them. And now you gave a short field to the best offense in the country, maybe, like they're prolific on offense. You give them a short field, momentum, hope. They go right in and score. And now you're like, now they're back in the game mentally. I hate it. I think it's so dumb. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, you have like even that Lions Tampa Bay game. I have not watched a lot of Baker in my life since Oklahoma, but you forget like when he gets hot, when Baker gets hot, he gets cooking. He's pretty good, right? Like he gets a couple short passes in. You're like, oh, Baker's getting a little. It's like watching a guy play blackjack, where he just can't lose for a little while, and then eventually the dealer gets 21. But yeah, I think like teams like like in that Michigan example, like I don't want to get that offense going, right? Touchdown by Penix, or even Campbell was pretty good. I thought he didn't do too many outlandish things.
He's gotten it under control a little bit, I think.
A little bit. So I'm with you overall. I think.
Yeah, and Anthony, I'm with you. I like Baker, man. I think he gets a raw deal, right?
He's gotten the rawest deal. And every time I defend him, people are like I was like, I'm not saying he's the number one quarterback in the league.
Right.
His playoff numbers, not just this year, but when he was with the Browns, crushed the Steelers back-to-back weeks. And then you look at his playoff numbers, and like the first week was a little inflated because they had some catch and runs, right, against an Eagles defense. But last week against the Lions, and the what's his face, who's your boy, talking crap on him, doesn't even know who's playing receiver for the Buccaneers. What's the safety's name?
Oh, Garner Johnson.
And then he gets a pick, but off a crazy Mike Evans drop. Not even just through his hands, which is rare. But it's like, he'll get hot. And even that last play of the game, like I think I texted you guys, it's just a solid game. Like, it wasn't a bad throw, he shouldn't have thrown it because it ended up getting picked. It was just a great play. That was just a great football play, and he's got to throw the ball down the field in that time. And it was a good football play. The better team won. Like the Lions should have won that game, but the Bucks played good enough to get their OC a head coaching job out of nowhere. So it's like, but he ended up with like, say 340 or something like that.
Yeah.
In the air, all good yards, and throws the ball around. So I'm interested to see what happens to him, like in terms of if they do re-sign him, or they're like, oh, I think he's 28, or if they're like, oh, he's too old to get it going. But yeah, he's just like, I take it back to this. When he was with the Panthers, that before he got to the Rams, all that garbage stuff, and they were just throwing stuff at the wall, and he was benched for PJ Walker. The guy's like running scout team D, like not with cameras around. It's like you just see, and then he's headbutting. Everybody's like, take you back years ago when everyone ripped Cutler for like getting hurt in the playoffs and then just sitting there, right? And not rah-rahing. And then Baker does the complete opposite, and everyone bags on him. It's like, well, what do you want? If they don't like you, they're gonna find a reason to bag on you. You know what I mean? But the Lions should have won. They did win. It was just a good game. It was a good game. Really good game. And they played well. Jahmyr Gibbs looked fast. I've never seen him look that like, I don't know. He was like on a gear. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Oh man, yeah.
Gibbs
he pulled away.
Floating. Like just in his open field moves, like okay, they've been saving him. That's why when Montgomery came back, everyone thought Gibbs was going to be the number one guy, but Montgomery's, they put him as the lead horse, and it's like, oh, it's paying off.
Yeah, he gets all the tough runs. It's thunder and lightning all day. There you go. The little Baker
tumbler. This is a collector's item at this point. Like 7 of them were made.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, I'll get off of Baker here in a second, but Baker got a bit of the Ndamukong Suh treatment to me. You talk to people around Detroit about Suh, and they hate him, and they don't like him, and nobody likes him. And I'm like, that was all coming out of the building from the media because they wanted to move on, and they didn't want to look like the bad guys. And that Browns thing too, man. I didn't know where it was coming from. It was like, this guy's got to go. He's a problem. And it was all a bunch of negative media, and it sticks, man. It sticks.
And the Browns look dumb. They look dumb,
real dumb,
for shipping him, and then the move they made after, and then, who knows what next year will take for them? But like, whatever. I could talk for a year on that
all
kind
day.
Of stuff.
All day.
I'll let it simmer. Yeah.
Yeah. A Baker with the Browns, and this year they may still be in it right now. Anyway, we'll move on to something that we talked about on the show before Michigan even played Ohio State. If I'm not wrong, Andy, we were talking about, it's Harbaugh's going to the Chargers. Done deal. They take him, man. What do you make of that?
Good coach. I said this last week. I don't understand I don't understand Harbaugh's like constant going back and forth. If I'm him, I think Chargers will be fine, but you just won a national title in Michigan. Like you could be the king of Michigan football for the next 20 years. Seem pretty good life. We always be pretty good, but I get that he doesn't want to deal with whatever he doesn't want to deal with. I think Chargers is a good spot. Got a good quarterback. They're over the cap. They're gonna have to make some tough decisions. They're also in a division that has not been won by anybody but the Chiefs for the last 8 years. So
That's true.
It's a huge swing. You got Sean Payton coming in. He's in there for a year. He's a good coach. You got Antonio Pierce, who's just going to get smoked out of the building within about 2 years because those other coaches are going to smoke him out. Antonio Pierce's best hope is he's Dan Campbell, and I don't know. I don't know if he is. So,
copycat league though, right?
Yeah,
copycat league on the field. Why not in the front office, right? It worked for the Lions. They're going to try to.
Right. So, it's a tough spot in LA because the Rams are the team, not the Chargers. So there's just a lot of tough things. They're just going to have to hope Herbert continues to be better than average. And he's been pretty average if you're being kind of honest, especially last year. He's bad. So it's a big job. I think Harbaugh clearly is going to set up his own way to go about things there. And, he did it in San Francisco. He was very successful. His brother's a great coach. So I think it's probably going to go well for him, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah. What do you, Anthony? What do you make about everybody saying it's just because he knows what's coming down the pipeline and comparing him to Pete Carroll and getting out of town before the thing gets torn down?
I think it's less about Michigan. I think it's more about college football. I mean, Saban's gone, Harbaugh's gone. Those are arguably the two best coaches of the past decade in college football. The last couple of years, especially for Michigan. So it's like maybe just saw the writing on the wall, didn't want to deal with the ever-changing landscape of that and just wanted stability, whatever that might be in Harbaugh. And there's worse places to be than LA with the Chargers because the expectations are none outside of get Herbert to the playoffs. Maybe sneaking a wild card behind the Chiefs, who are basically just locked in for the next decade anyways as the West champs. So you know what I mean? But I can't get in anyone's mind on why they keep leaving and going back and other places. But I mean, there's something about the guy that he's a winner, as generic as that term is. So I think it's going to be big for LA, and it's going to be interesting to see because they do a great job of marketing McVay. He's not necessarily the youngest guy on the block anymore because of Mayo, but he's still crazy young. And then Harbaugh comes in, and those two coaches get a lot of face time. So I think it'll be interesting. But on the team aspect, the Chargers are below average pretty much every year. Herbert, I do because I've always said Herbert and Derek Carr are the only guys that don't get criticized. It's always everyone around them. So it's now Herbert doesn't have an excuse, right? I mean, Harbaugh could get 2,000 yards out of one of us at quarterback, apparently. You know what I mean? So if Herbert can't go for 5, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
They got problems. The running back. Eckler's old. Keenan Allen's getting old. Mike Williams is always hurt. The rookie, what's-his-face, didn't pan out as well as they would have thought. They got a rotating cast at tight end between Parham and everybody else that just keep in Everett. So it's they got to get stability.
Yeah. I'll give you one other thing or two other things. One, I think Tony Pollard's going to end up as a Charger. I think because Kellen Moore.
That'd be interesting.
Kellen Moore was the OC in Dallas, went to Chargers. If Harbaugh keeps him, I write it in right now as Tony Pollard, running back, Eckler gone.
Is he what's his contract? Is he out?
He's a free agent.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think Eckler is as well. So, or 1 year they can cut him, So I think that's one. The other thing is I think with Harbaugh too is he's at an age, right? I don't know how old he is, but I'm guessing 55, 56, 57, where, if he doesn't go back to the NFL, he's going to be in college, right? So he kind of has to make a choice. Kind of like how Krzyzewski was always, the Lakers and some teams would come calling, and then he turned them down, and everybody kind of understood at that point, he's not leaving. Krzyzewski's going to coach college basketball. So, same with Saban, right? Saban went NFL to college, had success, never left. So I think Harbaugh had to probably also be look, I want to do it one more time.
Well, yeah, that's it. I think that's the thing, Andy, is he's got one more thing going on in the back of his mind, gnawing at his collar that none of these guys like Pete Carroll and everybody that bounced on NCAA stuff did. He's been to a Super Bowl and lost it. And that's gnawing at him, man. They turned the lights out on him. He lost the game, and that's gnawing at him. He wants to get back there. And Anthony, you bring up a great point too, but the college coaches, listen, that thing is like a mirror image of politics now with these super PACs. It used to be these guys had to do recruiting and it was more work than the NFL. But now at the end of the day, you got to do game plans, recruiting, and then they're in the office like, hey, coach, we got to hit some cold calls, man. We got to fundraise if you want that kid out of Fort Worth High School, man. Like these guys are tired of this, man. Like Nick Saban's in the back room cold calling boosters for money. Hell no. These guys are out of there. They don't want to deal with that, man. No chance. No chance. Hey, Falcons gonna hire Bill Belichick, or is just a dance?
Well, it's crazy that he had to do 2 interviews. So that tells me that probably that Arthur Blank wants to hire Bill Belichick. But it also tells me that the other people who work in the higher up in the Falcons don't want to hire Bill Belichick, right? Right. Whoever that is, the VPs and whatever. Like Bill Belichick should never have to interview 2 times for a job. Never. There's no world where there's no world, right? Bill Belichick for a second interview should have put on the score 28-3, pressed played, and walked out of the room. Like, you guys had the Super Bowl. Like, there's no world. So, I mean, like, there's few coaches that have to do 2 interviews. Bill Belichick's in the Mount Rushmore of coaches that doesn't have to do that. So I just think Arthur Blank wants to do it. I think a couple other people in that building don't want to do it, and we'll just see who wins.
I think you think about it, like, are you getting Bill Belichick just for like 2 years, or do you think they're talking about, hey, I'm going to inject you with the Belichick like system. That way you guys can carry it on for a decade after I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Kind of like how possibly New England's doing with Mayo and how his coordinators are going to do it anyways. So it's like, I think that's more interesting because, I mean, he's not going to coach past 75. Remember Marv Levy? We thought he was like 90. He was younger than Belichick, I think, when he retired.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's got maybe, I mean, if he has 2 good seasons, he'll break Shula's record. So it's like, after that, it's like, do you just take him for that 2 years and hopefully like puts, like, from a business standpoint, puts the processes in play for the next people to come in? Because it's like, I see why people want him, but I would also see like the short-sightedness of like, why do we want him for like 2 years? Look what he's done the last 2 years. Right. And the Falcons don't have a good roster. They have names that you think should be good, like with Pitts, and I mean, if you want to throw Heineke in that lineup, what I mean? They have a great fan base, but it's just, what do they actually want out of it? Like, do they want to go to the Super Bowl? Because then if that's the case, I don't think that's Belichick, because every year that's gone by since Brady hasn't been there, it's the pendulum has swung to Brady more so the reason than Belichick. You know what I mean?
But isn't that inevitable though? Like, I mean, a lot of people, right? Like we understand football. It's like, man, you can't be the best damn thing in the world at NFL football for 20 years and not have a rebuild. Like, it's common, man. It was inevitable, I think. You know what I mean? So I don't know about that, but hey,
I think if anything, I think Belichick would coach past, if he's willing to do 2 interviews. That tells me he's willing to coach past 74. He might give 3 or 4 years in there.
He's 71 right now?
71, 72. So also Falcons have Bijan, Drake London. They have some pieces. Their division,
good defense.
They're good defense. The division's not good, right? It's not like Carolina, the Saints.
They were almost made it this year. The last game, they were in it.
So you get somebody, to me, it's kind of reminiscent of when Parcells coached for the Cowboys, right? He came in for like 2 or 3 years, 4 years, whatever it was, basically built that stadium for Jerry Jones and got out. Jerry fired him. The Cowboys weren't playing at the Jerry Dome when Parcells took over. Jerry Jones needed a decent team to help build that stadium. So, I think that's kind of what it reminds me of. But if I'm Belichick, like, I don't know, he would be awesome on TV too. Like, put him on TV.
Yeah. I don't think he'll want to do that, though. It would be fun to watch, but he would just, I don't know, he'd be a little bit dry. But hey, the jobs are drying up, and I could see Bill on the phone going, "You guys want me to come down there for one more meeting? You know what I mean? Like, that's
taking his son with him. Like, who's he bringing with him too? You know what I mean?
His kid for sure.
Well, supposedly Mayo offered his son a job.
Oh, well, maybe he'll stay.
We'll see. And Mayo really, if I read it somewhere, like, really talked glowingly about Belichick's son. Made him sound like a young Belichick, where he's like, he's there early. He goes through everything. He's thorough. Like, who knows? I have no idea. I've always thought that guy was kind of like a Fredo.
Yeah, I don't know. They say he's
Mayo's interesting. He's got some He's got some city miles on him. He looks older than 37 to me. I don't know why.
He sure does.
Doesn't he?
Sure does.
Like
man.
I know he's played and then he's coached, but I think the Patriots are going to be interesting next year. It's going to be fun to watch. Just something new, like from the same old thing. It'd be like if Andy Reid ever leaves Kansas City. Like regardless if the players are the same, it's going to be different.
They got to get a quarterback, right?
Well, that's hands down. They got to take a quarterback there, right? All right, guys. Hey, we got to jump into some quick hits. All right, hey guys, you saw this thing man. Ohio State upsets the Iowa Hawkeyes in basketball, and they rush the court, and Caitlin Clark gets clipped by this girl running out on the court, and boy, does she exercise the epitome of what American basketball has become, and she goes down like a sack of potatoes. I mean, embarrassing? Yeah, no, what?
All right, if you watch the whole clip, like just the last two steps, it looks like she runs into her on purpose. But if you actually watch, she's looking behind her right before that. And then the flop was nuts. But if you run into something, you don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was fine. I think she didn't even say anything about, you know what I mean? It's not like she made a big deal about it. Everybody else seemed to. I don't know. I like Caitlin Clark. She's averaging 9 points a game.
Right.
Getting triple teamed every game. Like
she's great. She's great.
Awesome. Right. She's going to be like the women's leading scorer by mid-February. Something incredible.
She's at 32 points a game right now. I mean, I'm going to look it up right now how much Iowa as a team averages. It's got to be a higher percentage than Jordan with the 90 Bulls, right?
Yeah, I can't be much more than 70 points a game, probably. I'm 75. I'm going to say 77 a game tops, man. That's going to be my guess. Is this the way that she throws herself backwards? When you watch videos of people colliding, usually just physics, the force of your body is still moving forward upon collision. It's like as she gets touched, her momentum immediately flies backwards. I'm like, just stop the drama.
Well, if you're going to rush the field or rush the court as well, it is a little bit on you to look who you're running into, right?
Sure.
Watch where you're going just a little bit, there was you're not doing that in a football game, that you're not you're not running on the field and being I ran into that number 74, that lineman, because you'd be on the ground, right?
No, you would.
So that guy, was it a guy who did it or was it a girl?
No, it was a girl. It was a girl. And here's what I'm going to say, man.
That girl who ran out there. That girl who ran out there does need to have a little bit of awareness, court awareness.
She does, but where is Caitlin Clark, the dog, the dominator, the competitor that just trucks that girl? Oh, you can run on the court? Pow. Put her down. Where was that Caitlin Clark?
She probably just played 40 minutes of basketball, ran 8 miles.
Now that I would have rallied behind.
How many players, if you say that does happen in football, how many football players from the losing team stay on the field for that interaction to get into it with the fans? At least she tried to get out of there.
Yeah,
I will say she milked it. She milked the fall.
She milked it pretty good. Did you find it the points or no?
It looks like as a team, if I'm going through their player averages, about 90. So she's over a 30 points.
That's just for girls basketball.
By the way, you're just talking scoring too. You're not even talking about assists.
Just scoring. Actually, that's probably high because I'm literally looking at each player's average per game. So I don't know if that's teams. She leads the team in. She's the team leader in points, rebounds, assists, and steals.
Right. Okay. And I do have to correct myself, guys. It's women's basketball. I need to grow up a little bit. I just said girls, but it is women's basketball. That was old slip of the tongue from being a youth coach. That's all that's from being a youth coach. That's all.
Well, get him out of here. Get Mikey out of here. Get him out of here.
I'm going to get canceled. Guys, I've coached a lot of youth sports, man. It's a lot of boys and girls when I'm talking about sports. Let's get to the next one. Now, Andy, you texted me this one, and I got to say this blew my mind. I would have never thought it. Since 2011, every AFC Championship game has had either Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes in the game. That's 8 straight for the Pats and now 5 straight for the Chiefs. We ever going to see anything like this again?
No. You mean where two quarterbacks dominate it?
Yeah,
probably not. And it would be the last time it was not a Brady or Mahomes. Do you remember the matchup?
Wait, give it to me. What year?
2010.
AFC.
Ravens.
No.
Right? No.
What was that? So 2010, would that have been Big Ben?
He's one of them.
Yeah, Steelers. Okay.
Who's the other team?
Maybe Broncos?
Nope.
That wasn't the
He doesn't even play football anymore, this quarterback. Neither quarterback does. His name was Mark Sanchez. It was the New York Jets.
Oh, the Jets went back to back.
Yeah.
That was the last time it happened.
Guys.
Look, you got, Mahomes is what, 6 now? This is 6 in a row coming up on Sunday. So, look, I think I texted maybe both of you or at least one of you, Mahomes is kind of pulling like a LeBron to me, where it's like you can just put a bunch of garbage around him and he's getting you to the Eastern Conference or AFC finals here. It just doesn't matter, right? And I'm not saying, look, if Mahomes retired today, he's in the Hall of Fame. If Mahomes retired today, he's probably in the top 5 quarterbacks, maybe of all time. And he's 27, 26, 27, 28. He's just straight up pulling a LeBron. He's pulling a LeBron Cavs on all of us right now, and he's just doing it in football. It's been pretty impressive overall. So I don't know the next time we're going to see 2 quarterbacks dominate it for 13 years like this. I think it's going to be a while.
When you also think Mahomes and Brady, you think of longevity too. Mahomes gets dinged up. He doesn't sit out. Lamar, you put him in it. Who knows? He might play 8 games next year. This is his first full big season. Joe Burrow has been hurt since he was 16 years old, basically. So you got to think that as well, not only just the team and being good. So LeBron. LeBron. The first year they played against the Spurs in the finals, it was basically him and 5 guys they picked up outside the arena that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what Mahomes
Gibson.
Kelsey's awesome, but Kelsey is old for a tight end, and he hasn't been as good this year. And then you got a bunch of dudes I'm sure I know I was MVS catch the ball last Sunday. I was like, oh,
he's on the team.
To the team, bud.
Yeah, right.
Well, you got, Rice is pretty good. I think Rice is going to get better, but overall, the receiver room is not great. It is J.R. Smith and the boys, it's
I think it's a fair comparison. Yeah.
JR's either hitting 5 threes or walking off the court at halftime and forgetting to come back.
Right.
That's
right.
What's the only option you have with JR?
Oh yeah, right. I remember that incident, man. That was hilarious.
Someone's hand during the game.
LeBron's look the clock, you idiot. It was hilarious. I do
Let's
remember
LeBron
that.
reference because LeBron doesn't get hurt. I mean, he's a little dinged up now, but he's 74 years old in season. The guy's on his 3rd decade in the NBA, so it's
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's Mahomes is, even when Mahomes was hurt, he missed whatever those playoff games last year, maybe, I don't remember. But, he was out for a little while, then he'd come back and maybe missed a half or, he rarely misses complete games for sure.
No, he sure doesn't. His longevity's been very good. But on that NBA point, Andy, that is going to take us into some knock it off.
All right, everyone, time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Moyer, the greatest. Listen, I gotta tell you, on a different note, I think the point you bring up with the NBA to NFL comparison is very good, but in a different way, I gotta tell everybody to knock it off with comparing NBA dynasties to NFL dynasties. Listen, what Tom Brady did is so far greater than what Jordan ever accomplished. Disagree with me or don't?
I think I probably agree with you. I think the NFL is just a completely different sport, right? NBA generally, is best player almost always wins the title. And in the history of it, in the last 30 or 40 years, it probably happened 3 or 4 times where the best player didn't win the title. The last one that jumps to my mind is the year the Pistons beat the Lakers, whatever year that was, 03 or 04. Kobe was the best player, if not one of the best 2 or 3 players. So that doesn't happen that way in football. Best player doesn't.
No, basketball, you usually, if you got 2 of the best players in it, you're going to win the damn game. And it's a league where, they let all the best players coagulate to the best teams. It's just a different thing, man. 10 Super Bowls and won 7 of them. Listen, we just got done talking about Patrick Mahomes, but I'll tell you right now, I would bet he can't do that. It seems nuts. It seems nuts.
See, that doesn't. I think the interesting thing about it is if you would have read Brady's resume and then been and then why he's still playing, there's going to be a quarterback who's going to challenge these records, which I believe is going to happen, right? I don't know why I wouldn't think that at this point, 6 AFC title games. To me, that seems crazier than actually thinking because it's here. The moment's here, and Mahomes is
but
here.
difficult. I don't disagree with you that I think he will have a chance to make a run at that. But Anthony, I mean, what are the odds of it happening? I have to bet on he's going to fall short of that. It's nuts.
Well, because you think about like Brady's regimen. I mean, you can kind of think of it as like threefold, right? Like he's got the later years with Edelman, he's got those middle years with early Gronk, and then he's got those super early years right when he took over for Bledsoe, right? Who was his back then? Was it Corey Dillon? I forget who was even there.
Yeah, probably right.
But it's like you think of that as like, I mean, Mahomes has kind of went through the first one with Tyreek and I mean, even when Kareem Hunt was there, right, before all his problems, and now it's like that they're kind of in that like once Kelsey's gone, then I think it officially moves to like, all right, it's Mahomes and now a bunch of other guys in front on both sides of the ball, right? So it's like if he can prove it at that point, I think you'll get a better idea if there's like a chance. Because like right now, like Brady was like 3 dynasties over 2 decades throughout that Patriots regime. But like the basketball thing is a preposterous comparison in terms of because it's like I think NBA is more comparable to like high school baseball. If you have an ace on the mound in high school baseball, you're going to win pretty much every time, right? That's more of a better comparison. Like football is just it's football. There's just so many moving parts to the unknown, like that most people don't realize when you think someone got beat deep, and it's like, no, he didn't get beat deep. The wrong coverage based on the quarterback's audible and everything. There were like 10 things that led up to that. Like,
right.
So there's just too much nuance in terms of that, and also the swing of the game. I mean, like, and I know this is a tangent, but I can't stand when they compare head-to-head between quarterbacks playing each other, not stat-wise, wins or losses, but against each other.
Yes.
Like Mahomes versus Lamar. It's like you guys act like they're fighting each other, and that's who wins the game. It's like, I'm playing against Lamar Jackson as much as Patrick Mahomes is.
Like Josh Allen's on the field when the defense gives up a 55-yard pass to Kelsey with 10 seconds left. I mean, come on, right?
I can't stand that horrible, like and now that's all we're gonna hear about. Like the AFC is definitely the annoying one of the championship bunch. I'll give you that. Like the storylines.
Well, yes,
I've heard them all before with Mahomes. Like there's no new ones out of Kansas City.
Well, you remember too that who traded with Kansas City so Kansas City could get Mahomes, right? It was the Bills. The Bills were sitting at 10. The Kansas City traded from 27 to 10, and they traded with Buffalo, and then they drafted Mahomes at 10, right? So it's like, look, Josh Allen gets paid the most money. Josh Allen, like I get that part of what you're saying, but like it is important, right? And Josh Allen doesn't beat good defenses ultimately in the playoffs. He hasn't beaten Burrow. He hasn't beaten Mahomes. He beats up like Baker, and he beats up these shitty,
Vinny putting up points in those games, though. I will have to counter that, Andy. I will say
you're putting all the money to the Chiefs, but I would argue the Chiefs have done the hardest thing. They did the hardest thing. They did a thing maybe 2 other teams would do, which is they traded the fastest wide receiver in the NFL. Yeah. And know what? Name me another team that would do it. The Pats, maybe, right? Maybe.
No, I'm not going to deny that point.
Did they trade him, or was he just
traded
free agent?
They traded him.
What did they get for him?
A bunch of shit. A bunch of like second, third round. Nothing. They didn't get a first rounder. And they traded him, and they rebuilt their O-line. Right. This is what gives Mahomes a chance, in my opinion, is that the people in charge are the ones that are going to give him the chance. Just like the people in charge gave Brady the chance. They got a great O-line now. They drafted a decent running back. Their defense is better. And now they'll just work on wide receivers again. So it's like they're going to go right back into it. So, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. But also, like, look, Josh Allen, if we're going to talk about Josh Allen, he had a couple of huge throws that he missed. Just straight up missed with the game on the line. Right.
Guess what? Well, the one that everybody remembers is the deep ball that the guy was open for the touchdown. But again, you go back and look at that play. To your point, Anthony, is the left side of the pocket is collapsed by Chris Jones, and he pushes the tackle into him as he's throwing the ball. And then everybody wants to be like, "Oh, Allen missed the throw." You're kidding me? If he had one more second, that was a touchdown, man.
Good defensive play.
Like, great defensive play. Great defensive play.
He missed, and he missed on Diggs. Diggs should have caught it, but he missed on Diggs. Diggs, by the way, won't be a Bill next year.
Well, if they're smart, and I'm not no disrespect to him, but it's like you got to break that up, man. That just
this is my point. This is my point on what the Chiefs did. They should have got rid of Diggs last year, 2 years ago.
They should have.
And the Chiefs did it.
Agreed.
Right? Chiefs, and Hill is, if we were drafting wide receivers, what's Hill? The number 1, number 2 wide receiver?
Number one.
Anywhere,
Probably.
yeah.
You got Jefferson. You got Chase.
Listen, with analytics, any front office is going to take the guy with a chance to break a play. Hill would be number 1. Yeah.
Right. And then Reed and the guys got rid of him. So I think, anyway, yeah. So I guess I'm kind of, look, I do think some of these head-to-heads matter. For example, just to give you a little, like the Chiefs haven't lost to the Ravens in like 30 years, right? Like, I don't know. It's been a long time. They've beaten them pretty badly. And Lamar and Mahomes have played a lot. Now,
we're going to get to all that. Don't jump the gun on that. That's going to be the best part of the show there. Now, hold up on that. Let's hit the next one here, guys.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Gary Sheffield not getting into the Hall of Fame. Knock it off. I'm on the record for years on this show. I hate the baseball writers of America. They are the most arrogant, pompous group of we have control over something we've never competed in our lifetime. These guys are boobs. Gary Sheffield, 509 home runs, 500 home run club, 292 lifetime average, 2,600 over 2,600 hits, almost 2,700 hits, 1,600 RBIs. You know how many guys in the history of baseball have done that? 18 dudes ever. And they don't put him in because he didn't play nice with the writers and they don't like him. Bullshit, man. I'm tired of it.
That's not the real reason. No, that's not a real reason why he's in. He's not in because of the Balco, right? Like Gary Sheffield, for the record, has always maintained innocence. I'm not saying he did or didn't, but the problem is those guys don't get in right now, right? They don't get in. Ortiz somehow snuck in, and I don't know how.
That's my next point. They liked Ortiz. He smiled and played Big Papi, and they put him in. And my next point, Andy, not to cut you off, is about the Balco thing. The only thing they had on Sheffield from the Balco thing was one receipt for one check for $167 written by his wife.
For sure.
That was like for some vitamin. You know how much a jar of that cream cost? Like $1,000. They had one check from that dude for $167 when he was rehabbing his knee for something. He bought some like supplements, like vitamins or something cheap from. That's the only thing he's on any of those reports from. And the media who hated him blew it up into, oh, he's on the cream and he's on the juice. That guy's body never changed like Bonds and those guys. He was never a big dude. He just whipped a tough bat. I think he's getting a bad shake. I do. I don't know.
Both you guys have a point. Like,
I mean, I'm with you.
I mean, both you have a like. I was a Sheffield fan. I mean, he's one of 5 iconic stances from growing up, right?
Oh,
like,
man,
maybe the most iconic.
Maybe.
I'm a Julio Franco guy myself.
Yeah, Julio. Julio. Mickey Tettleton.
But I will say, I do like. I agree with you. Like, they're a little bit too boob, to put it your term. But I do like a lot of the NFL guys have been complaining they're just letting people in now. So it's like baseball, they're trying to keep it so secluded. But the guys they put in were all deserving. Like, I didn't know Helton had those numbers.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Helton, but there are guys that are not in that had better numbers than Helton just because those writers don't like them.
That's yeah. I mean, like I said, I see both. I see it both ways. I could see your argument. I see Andy's. Like, I'd put him in. But yeah, it's political at that point.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
I would definitely put Sheffield in. The problem is it's look, it is weird though that he had his wife write a check. Like, it's just too much. It's weird, right? It's something I would do if I was trying to cheat something. I'd be like, honey, go write a check to this place. Why? Just go. I can't do it, right? So. Like it's something's off, and look, Sheffield's going to deny as he should. And look, if we're opening up the Baseball Hall of Fame to guys Bonds, Clemens, like, let's do it. But or let's figure out a way to include these guys because Sheffield should be in the Hall of Fame. But
I don't. Yeah, I don't think you should lump the guys who have maintained innocence and don't have any proof against them in with other guys just because you think so. And then let Ortiz in. Like, I get it with Bonds and Clemens and those guys and McGuire and these guys. They're busted. I mean, busted, handcuffed, busted. And if you want to make them wait to go in by a veterans committee to make a point, fine. It's not my thing, but I can get on board with that. But guys like Sheffield, I'm like, what? Come on, man. He's notoriously unliked by the writers, and that's just how they are. Not to go long-winded on a Lou Whitaker rant either, but like that was the reason that Whitaker's not in the Hall of Fame right now. A lot of people don't know it had a lot to do with race, but more so it had to do with the writers at the time in the 80s and 90s. These guys were old war vets and stuff, man. Like that's what age those writers were at that time. And Lou was a Jehovah's Witness, so he did not stand for the national anthem. He didn't partake in anything that had to do with celebrations. So he was a Jehovah's Witness. It was religious reasons. And those guys, they took that personally. They served and they took it personally. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, and I'm not saying who's right or wrong, but that was it for him. They were like, you ain't getting one vote for the Hall of Fame. And it had nothing to do with the flag in America. It had to do with the religion. But anyway, I'll get off that tangent, man. That's my guy.
So my only point is with Chef is like, who is awesome. Like he has like fewer walks in career at bats than like, I think there's like one or two, Mel Ott and like Ted Williams, right? So he's in like rarefied air hitting.
Yeah.
But like somebody's got to come clean. And I do think somebody knows something, right? Because his baseball wouldn't just hold him out. There's got to be some information in my opinion, like Kennedy assassination style, why Gary Sheffield's not in the Hall of Fame. So I just wish somebody would clean it up a little bit because Gary.
Yeah, these writers have too much power. They have all the power in the vote, and it's ridiculous. It just is. Put some players on the board. Make it 50-50, man. Half players, half rush something. These writers have all that. They hated Jack Morris. They wouldn't put him into a veterans committee later. Right. He was the winningest pitcher in a decade in baseball and pitched the greatest World Series game you ever saw or ever will see. They didn't like him. It's like, I don't know. I'll get off that, man, because I could go forever. I hate those guys. It's just personal for them. Let's hit another one.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
All right, Andy, I know you've been waiting for this one. We gotta get into the touchback rule. And I'm going to tell you, everybody that's crying that rule needs to be changed, knock it off. That rule is right. That rule is 100% right. I'm coming from a defensive guy. That rule's right. Go ahead.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, ultimately. Like 99 other yards, if the ball goes out of bounds, at the 37, the ball's at the 37, right? Like, I just think it needs to change a little bit, right? Like the touchback, I'm like, it's just kind of like to me, a wildly bad rule. And it wasn't even the Chiefs game. I thought this for like 2 years. Like, if it happens that way, like give them the ball back at the 1, like I don't know that something needs to change in that rule for me. Like the rest of the field, that rule makes sense, but for some reason the goal line it doesn't make sense.
That you're hitting the nail on the head. It's the goal. It's not the rest of the field. When the ball goes out at the 37, it went out of the field of play at the 37. When it goes into the end zone, it's no longer in the field of play. It has gone into the end zone, which is no man's land. This is a different territory. It didn't go out of bounds. If it goes out at the 1, you get to keep it.
Push it off, then push it back to the 20 again and go whatever down it is. Like I don't understand why is it defense's ball. Jay, because if the defense slaps it out at the 20, then it's still the offense's ball. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's the one rule in the
defensive
NFL.
guy. You tell me.
It's the one rule in the NFL that doesn't go with the rest of the rules.
The Browns versus the Chiefs a couple years back when what's his face 47 illegal hit on Higgins. On a pass up the sideline right before halftime, Higgins dives for the end zone, helmet to helmet, not called. Ball goes out of the end zone. Browns end up losing by a handful, right? I mean, that changes
everything
so much. Like in terms of NFL, Baker stays, Mahomes doesn't because Mahomes was hurt. That was the Matt Moore game, right?
Right.
Henne was it Henne or Matt?
Yeah, Henne. Sorry, Henne. Same thing, right? Come on, Chad Henne and Matt Moore. Same thing. But I get the purist thing, but it's just like it's a simple thing. Like you reset the ball. If the defense touches it and it goes out of bounds, then we can talk about it. But if it's just a bad luck, you reset it like you do on a touchback.
But you're rewarding,
and then it's 1st and goal. No.
Or you can't give them first down. You can't give them the ball and first down.
Say you're scoring and it's a 50-yard play and you dive for the end zone, then it goes out of bounds in the end zone. Then it's 1st and goal from the 25. If it's 3rd and goal and you dive out of bounds. and it goes out of the end zone, it just goes to the 25 and it's a loss of down or something like that. So if it's third and you fumble, then it's that rule. If it's second, it goes to fourth.
If you wanted to discuss something where the defense is going to get some kind of reward, then I'll listen. But for the most part, most people are just being like, "Now the offense should just get the ball back at the 1." And I'm like, "Now,
not at the 1.
Hold on. Like wherever it goes out, a lot of these people say wherever it went out, they should get it like anywhere else on the field." And I'm like, "Now timeout. The defense has rose up and made a hell of a football play down at the goal line, and we're going to reward the offense because that's what we do in this sport. Give the offense the ball back and just let them score." I'm like, "No. You know what? How about know this? If you fumble the ball down here, we could lose it. That's the rule. Hold on to the fucking ball."
Yeah,
you know
I mean,
like,
you go back. The Bucs play, the Eagles game, or not the Eagles game. The last week of the season was the Bucs against the Panthers. DJ Chark went up the sideline. Antoine Winfield hits him at the goal line, fumble out of the end zone, right? Changes the trajectory of that game. They might not make the playoffs that of him. But if he fumbles it out 6 feet earlier, right at the 1, then the offense gets the ball at the 1. That doesn't make sense.
That's sports. That is sports. That's the difference in inches and moments. That is sports, man.
Whenever they choose, half the people are going to hate it. Like, that's just one of those decisions.
I just think they should leave it how it is because it doesn't happen all that often. If the defense makes that great a play, they should be rewarded.
I will say this.
I think.
If the rule has always been, here's my argument to this. If the rule was always, if I fumble out of the end zone, it resets the 25-yard line, no one in their right mind would be arguing that it should be an automatic, the defense now gets the ball. But like the fact that we're even talking about this shows that it's a little bit,
you make a decent point there. It is how it is. But
I don't know what the final verdict of it is.
You got to give the offense something down there, man. I don't like, the more I think about it, I don't like that. Well, put it back at the 20 and even make it a loss of down. Because if it's 3rd and goal and they hammer you and you fumble it out of the back of the end zone, now they get the ball at the 20 and it's 4th and goal. They still get 3 points. Now you got to be punished for fumbling down there out of the back of the end zone. You got to be punished.
I'm still someone that doesn't like the ball just has to break the plane. I still don't like that either. It's like, okay,
you want it to be like hockey. It's got to be all the way in.
Well, remember the old Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
QB sneak just would go like that. Like, I don't know. That seems, we're splitting hairs here. It's like,
it is kind of wild though. It's like, it would be like in this contest where Mikey would be like, all right, for the first 2 rounds, we're going to play to 6 points. Now for the last pick, for the Super Bowl pick, guys, if I get it right, I get 100, and Anthony and Andy, you guys get 3. But if I get it wrong, Anthony and Andy, you get 2 and I get 3. And like it doesn't. There's no.
That's what you're doing. I'm saying the rules are the rules and keep them the same. You're saying if we fumble it out of the end zone, we should get the ball back. It's the playoffs.
Because the rest of the field, it's how it works. So I just think like it's kind of a garbage rule in my opinion. I think it happens way more than you think.
I think it's exciting. I think it's exciting. I think it's something they shouldn't change because it adds a lot of excitement down there. When that ball hits the turf down there near that end zone, you jump off the couch because this might be a turnover for sure.
Wasn't Hardman down anyways? Wasn't he?
I guess he wasn't when he was spinning around. I don't know if his ass was down.
I thought he was down.
To the other point that you made, Anthony, about that play, the Cleveland-Kansas City play. I remember that play specifically because I go back in the archives. We talked about it on this show. And I had a difference of opinion on that as well because that guy that had the ball, this is what I don't like about the targeting.
Higgins, baby.
I don't like the rule of targeting as it relates to the defense, especially in that play. Now, the offensive player, if you guys don't remember, he's running up the sideline and then he dives headfirst for the end zone, and the defender who's coming to try to stop him from scoring also comes and runs and dives to try to knock him out of bounds. And my argument on that was this cannot be targeting because neither player occupied that playing area on the field before the other player headed to it, right? Like the offensive player dove into an area he did not occupy, and the defender did not occupy either. And they met there in not in any kind of, targeting, like he lined him up to hit him that way. Neither one of them held that ground. So if they hit helmets, it can't be targeting. It wasn't meant to be done.
I know, but they've called worse. That's the whole thing.
Oh, they have.
I'm with you. I see your point, but it was like, as a Browns fan, it was like,
it was a bummer.
If it was reversed, if that was Mahomes going down the sidelines,
for sure.
Anarchy. You know what I mean?
100%.
I don't like that. So it's like, I think that's what most people want. It's just
be consistent.
Right? I wouldn't have called it, but it does get called. that like even worse. I've seen open field tackles, and they call it targeting. It's just like what? So odd.
Yep. Just one more little rant from me before we move on to the sponsors, guys, is one thing I do want to stop from bleeding into this game, and it seems to be becoming more and more, is the crying for calls like they do in the NBA. It's gotten real bad, and now it's starting to be in the NFL. Every time a guy's on the ground, a guy falls on him, he's jumping up with his hands out. I want the 15. I want the 50. Stop crying and play football, man. Just play football. We know when it's a late hit and when it's not. Just play football, and I'm going to let it go at that. All right. So let's hit some of these sponsors real quick, guys. Hey, we got to give it up to the official beer of the DWMOD podcast. That is Old English 800, guys. It is championship weekend. You have got to get yourself a brass monkey for that tailgate, man, especially on the West Coast, Andy. You're going to be up early. Orange juice and Old E, and just have yourself a nice chill day watching football, man. Right?
I mean, it sounds great. It would start. It's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long, great day.
It's going to be a great day, man. And as always, let's give it up there. Let's give it up to rustbeltclub.com. You guys got to get over there. Check it out, man. Softest, most comfortable shirts you're ever wear. They got great stuff over there. They got cool shirts. You're wearing them out. People are going to get at you, man. Where's that place? What is that all about? And I tell you what, our main man, Gordon Butterfeld, is about to tell us exactly about it right now and what just happened.
What just happened? What just happened is brought to you by the rustbeltclub.com. They make the most comfortable clothes you ever wore, and they're guaranteed to be the most conversational. Put on your Rust Belt gear, and people are guaranteed to get inquisitive. With that Tom Brady's joint, where can I grab them cakes? Who won that game? Oh, good morning, counselor. Is that a tooth beer or two? I know that guy. Ho, that's a haunted water park. Abracadabra. And that's the rustbeltclub.com. It's for folks with an inquired taste. It's always a game of chance on the giant water slide, but Janet Kopoklowski's ready to see what turns up on the river. And take off. Oh, she's too stiff. That's a bad idea. Fusion surgery. Oh, my. Let's take another look and see where she destroys vertebrae C4 and 5 and 6 and 7. She's sky high and looks like she died 5 days ago. Rigor mortis. Oh, my. Her bat's as red as a beet. Oh, what just happened? There it is, man. Rust Belt Club, the shirts. I'm sure that woman's back is shot. She's going to have 15 surgeries. And Gordon, oh, man. Gordon on the call. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, let's jump into the championship round. Time for another episode of All Right Bet. Now, I broke it down earlier for you guys already. The scores moving into this final round right here. Andy is up 35. I've got 30. Anthony's got 22. There's a lot of points to be had this week, though. Somebody rocks a couple of sixes here or gets 1 6, and somebody gets a 3. You close ground here really quickly. Now, if you guys don't remember the scoring, you get 3 points for picking the winner against the spread. You get 2 points for picking the over-under, and you get 1 point for picking the winner outright. All right, so that's how the scoring is working here. First game of the weekend, guys, we got the Chiefs plus 3.5 at the Baltimore Ravens. The over-under is 44.5. Anthony, you jump in first, man.
Wait, can I, for the sake of let's call it equality in this, can I pick last? Because my picks might go off of yours just to give myself a fighting chance.
Oh man, I have them
this
now. This is like the touchback rule. We're changing on the
price is right.
Right. We're touchback ruling, Mike.
Oh, man, give me a shot. Give me a shot at the victory here, so I can go right.
All right. I thought we're working on integrity here. The picks are supposed to be in an envelope, but here we go. Let's do it. All right, you go last, buddy. Hey, you proposed it, and that's how life works sometimes, guys. If you got the balls to ask for something, you just might get it. So there you go, buddy. You get it. You ask. Andy, you're up first.
I know for our contest, by the way, we have it at 3.5. Just what I'm looking at right now tells me it's at 4. I'm not saying we take the 4. I am just using that to have a point.
Gambling.
My point is that money's coming in on the Ravens, right? Money's coming in on the Ravens. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. I think the scariest thing in football is to bet against the Chiefs in the betting world, right? And I do it, Mikey, you and I, when we do this throughout the season, I do it quite a bit because a lot of times the Chiefs are like, I don't know, they're playing some team and they're like 8.5 point favorite. So it's terrifying. And every time I do it, I think I probably text you, be like, why am I doing this to myself? It's like, I hate betting against Mahomes. Look, Mahomes is like 9-1-1 against the spreads straight up. The other thing is in Mahomes' last 3 playoff games, guess how many interceptions he's thrown? It's 0. Guess
None.
how many sacks he's taken? 0.
Wow.
Look, the dude he is smart, right? No matter what, then this is Eagles, Dolphins, Bills, right? Like no matter what kind of he sees the defense, he gets the ball out quickly. I think the last team that gave him problems, not counting that 31-9 Bucks destroying of the Chiefs, was the Bengals, right? They pressured the guy Mahomes. Mahomes has been down 10 times in the playoffs at plus 7 points, by the way, 7 or more. His record straight up is 8-2 in those games, down 7 or more.
Gamer.
The only 2 losses of those 10, Tom Brady, right? So my only point is it's terrifying to bet against Mahomes. Now, This Ravens team, I believe, is a little different. So I believe that their defense is really, really good, right? The Chiefs have some health issues. Like Tooney's hurt at offensive line. Pacheco he had the flu yesterday. They got to cut their offensive line's a little beat up. So I'm struggling. This to me they're both hard games. So
yeah,
look, I initially wanted the under. If we'd have done this on like Monday or Tuesday, I would have said the under. Now I'm going to say the over. I'm going to take the over.
Right.
I just think there's going to be enough points. I think we're going to get into some like 27-21, 24-27 type scores and games. So I'll take the over. I'm going to take the Ravens. I'm just going to take the Ravens. I think give me the Ravens at 3.5. I'm going to do it again. I just think this Chiefs team is really good. I think that was the best game they played was last week all year. I think they've gotten better. It would not shock me to lose both these and the Chiefs win. I just kind of have a feeling the Ravens just a little better right now. Just a little better. They've been better all year, and I just got to go with the best team, and I think it's the Ravens. So give me the Ravens and give me the over.
All right, man. Fair enough. I'm going to tell you, you nailed it. I mean, Mahomes, he's the greatest of this generation right now, and there's no doubt about it. And he proved it last week against Buffalo. They're looking better coming down the stretch. You talk about Lamar. He's bet on himself, and he's probably going to win his second MVP. He's finally got himself a real play caller that understands how to use him, and it has been extremely dangerous. This guy has turned a corner and is really playing better than he was, which is scary. It's going to be fun to watch these two icons go head-to-head in this game. It is going to be iconic, and I'm not going to miss a minute of it. But please, let's talk about the defenses for a minute. All we're doing is talking about these two guys. Let's talk about the defense for a minute. The Chiefs had the best defense they've had since Derek Thomas, and they proved it last week against that Buffalo run with the halftime adjustments, man. Buffalo was hammering it down their throat. That game looked over. That game looked over just from a football standpoint of it didn't matter what was on the scoreboard. They couldn't stop Buffalo running the ball. And they came out in the second half and shut it right down. Ravens defense, number 1 in scoring defense, number 1 in sacks, number 1 in touchdowns allowed. This defense is really, really good. And here's one thing they do really, really well is they create pressure on the quarterback that there's really no trouble for Patrick Mahomes ever. But you look at that Tampa Bay Super Bowl, which you brought up, the Brady game, right? Tampa pressured Brady. They pressured Mahomes in a way I think the Ravens are going to do it, right? You gotta flush him and then rush him. They use Sue to collapse one side of the pocket, force him out, and then Levante David or somebody stunting over the top to get in his face so he couldn't make the roll around plays, right? I think that this Ravens team is built to do exactly that, and I think they're going to do a lot of that. Here's going to be one bet I'm going to give you guys. All right, bet for this game. Is there going to be a future, Andy, for Cook in rushing yards? Because if there is, give me the over. That guy didn't know anything about the offense last week. Ravens put him in the ball game. He's hammering the ball. He's fresh legs. He's going to be more implemented this week. I think in the second half, if the Ravens are up, Cook is going to run the ball a ton. Give me the over on him. Give me that bet all day. Listen, I'm going to take the Ravens as well. Ravens -3.5. Give me the over. I'm going to say Baltimore 34. KC you later 23. Anthony, what do you think, man?
Just for Anthony goes, I will say this.
Sure.
Two things. One is Lamar's last 5 playoff games been sacked 22 times, thrown 5 interceptions. The other thing, and this is now, I know I'm on the Ravens, you're on the Ravens, but this is my other rule that, I talk about sometimes. Beware of the team that we just saw destroy, the primetime team. We saw the Ravens stick it to Texas 31-10. We saw the Chiefs survive, right? And I always want to be on the team that just survived, generally in betting. So just beware of that fact. It's out there, and I will be thinking about it, especially when I text you Sunday and being like, I'm on the Chiefs +3.5.
Well, there you go. Let's see what that leaves you one spot here, I think, Anthony. What are you thinking?
It's funny because actually what I have down is also opposite mainly of what you guys have. And I will explain.
Great.
I think the Ravens D, I'm tired of hearing about Ray Lewis, for the past 2.5 decades. So it's nice to see a defense that gets his name at least a little bit out of there. And I will say, I got to interview Geno Stone once, so I cheer for him. He was great to have on. And their defense, I think, is built kind of almost like the Chiefs' offense. We just get some players in here and we'll figure it out. They don't have the traditional just straight corner, just straight safety, just straight linebacker. I mean, they do, but they move guys around based on their skill set. But having said that, the Chiefs, obviously, you said, have the best defense since D. Thomas. By the way, who was the quarterback that he sacked 7 times? Should have had 8, and they ended up losing the game.
I know the answer because I was watching the game. Dave Craig.
Yeah. That was
he was my favorite player. I was watching that game. I was watching that game.
But I think both these teams have something unique in common where, they don't have to rely on their hero to win the game. Mahomes last weekend, pedestrian for him, right? They turned to the run game. They won. I think I texted you guys one thing. I think I said find a way, and they'll just figure it out.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, at this point, it's hard to bet against either one of these teams because these are the teams that should have been here. And I think, you would expect the Ravens to have taken kind of a little bit of a step back, which they did in the first half against the Texans. But, I don't know. I think both these defenses are going to get overshadowed by the star power on offense, but I think the defenses are the real stars of this game. Having said that, I've been betting against the Chiefs forever, and I lose more than I'd like to ever admit. So I'm going to have the Chiefs at +3.5 and take the points with the Chiefs. I'm taking the under just based on the Chiefs' offense this year. Why would they explode for 30 points against the best defense, not the Browns, the actual best defense in the league? But I am going to take the Ravens to win just because this is the first time Lamar's been this healthy. And I think overall the Ravens should win. Throughout the year, they've been the better team. They should. Having said that, if Mahomes and company win by 20 and be like, well, I knew that was going to happen, but I'm going to take Chiefs at +3.5, but Ravens to outright win. So close game, and I'm going to take the under.
All right, buddy. You're on.
The other thing we're not even talking about is that Mark Andrews might play for the Ravens.
Who else did they wait? Who signed? No, the Lions. We'll get to
Lions.
Yeah.
Andrews will play, and then you got Pacheco's sick or got a toe injury or whatever. So it's we'll see. We'll be rooting for the Chiefs, but got to be realistic with
the guy off the stands, and Mahomes will throw him a screen right at the right time, and he'll score. That's just what's going to happen.
It's going to be a hell of a game.
People know early, right in the first half, whether this thing's going to be kind of a game.
We might, or we might see some fireworks in the second half because Mahomes is Mahomes, man. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be exciting, but it's my second favorite game of the day, guys, because this is the favorite of the day. The Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. I'm trying not to cry right now. The Detroit Lions +7.5 at San Francisco. The over-under is 51 here. This is complete and utter disrespect, plain and simple, on America's team. This is just disrespect. This is America's team. Have you guys seen that meme going around on the internet? It's hilarious, from the Captain Ron movie. And they got Captain Ron in a Prescott jersey, and then they got the Somali boat pirate going, pointing at his eyes and going, look at me, look at me. I am America's team now.
Oh,
that's the Lions.
I thought you meant Captain Ron, like the Kurt Russell movie.
No,
right?
no. The other one. I love that movie
Captain
too.
Phillips.
I
don't remember that dark of a scene from.
See, there you go. I'm on Captain Ron because I liked it, but it's hilarious. But yeah, it's disrespect to America's team. Right, 7. This is the grittiest team in football, man. People are already saying, well, it's going to be golf outside. Nobody likes golf outside. Guys, it's going to be 70 and clear as a bell. And the kid's from California. It don't matter a lick. They got no Debo, or maybe a banged up Debo. But anyway, whatever he wants to do when he's playing in this one, this time he's going to be putting up some dough on other people's 40s. I'm going to tell you that right now. Debo, what you got on our 40 in Detroit, you better come correct on that. I'm telling you, we could run the ball all day long. That's how the Packers stayed in that game. Rain or not, I don't care. We can run the ball. We got Gibbs and Monty. They're going to have big day. St. Brown, big day. Laporta is going to have a big day. The Lions love being a 7-point underdog in this game right now. The middle of the field will not be wide open for Brock Purdy like it is against all these other teams, because the Lions are going to pressure him and them routes are going to take time to get there. And we have the best cover linebacker in NFL football in Anzalone. That hands down. That's not a stat. That's not a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. The stats show he's the best cover linebacker in football. He's going to be in the middle of the field causing problems, man. We just got to limit McCaffrey. We just got to limit McCaffrey in the game, and the Lions are going to hang on, and we're going to win this thing, man. The prediction here is kneecaps everywhere. Check me out. I got King Kong and a toga back here, rocking the fist of Joe Louis. Detroit, give me some. Bam. Let's have it. We're going. 49ers don't even know what they're in for. We're King Kong in this motherfucker, and they ain't got shit on us. Give me the Lions +7. Give me the Lions straight up, man. I don't even care. Straight up, and I'm going to take the under in this one. It's going to be a banger, and listen, it's going to take more than some gold diggers to take down the Lions this year, guys. Give me the Lions 24, gold diggers 20. I'm off my soapbox. Go Lions, Andy.
I kind of want to take the Lions now. I think the one thing you could do on the Niners is pass the ball. And, I'm one of those guys who's like, I don't bet on Jared Goff when he's outside, right? I don't do it. I think Goff is great in a dome. Makes me a little nervous. But, it's going to be a nice day in California. So he should be okay. I am not as bullish on the run as Mikey is against San Francisco. Ultimately, I think that team can stop the run a little more. I just think the pass is where it's going to live for Detroit to win. And I think they can do that. And I think if they do that well enough, then I think it's possible to open the run, right? If Detroit comes out and is like, run, incomplete, I'll be like, what are you doing? I can throw it first down. Let's loosen it up, But look, there's two schools of thought for me. One is we saw San Francisco's bad game, right? And they're going to wake up this week and just thump Detroit. And the other thought, and the more the one I lean, is that maybe San Francisco, they haven't, their last like 5 or 6 games, they've lost a few, right? They've gotten beat a few times. They've lost 3 of them, and they should have lost last week, honestly. And they lost 3 of the last 4 at home, So I think it's too many points. I think it's a little bit of a slap in the face for a Lions team that is kind of cooking right now, right? They beat maybe the second best team in the NFC in the Rams. And they got to play at home to beat them by 1. So, I think right now, if I was ranking NFC teams, knowing what we know, it would probably be Niners, Lions, Rams, Cowboys in some order. So I think the other thing is like Debo's going to play. He's 50-50. He's going to be there. Debo's very important to that team. Even last week, if you looked at that game, their very first 3 plays was McCaffrey, Debo run, Debo long pass. Then Debo got hurt on that long pass. And then San Francisco sputtered, right? Then it was kind of a mess from there. So if Debo plays, I'm going to take San Francisco to win. I'm going to take Detroit to cover. I think it's going to be close. I think maybe it's too many points. Just 7's too many for me. So I'm going to take Detroit to cover. San Francisco wins, and I think it's going to be a lot of points. I think that's how this game. And if Detroit wants to win, because the one unit that's really bad, in my opinion, in this game is Detroit defense. And that is the unit that could get exposed, right, with all the weapons of San Francisco. So if Detroit wants to win, in my opinion, they got to score. And they're going to have to get into like 30. So to get to 30 gets me to the over. And if Detroit wins 31-28, that's an over. But they got to get into 30s, in my opinion. Detroit's not going to win this game 17-10. There's no way. They're not going to win this game 24-10. They're going to win 35-31. So give me Detroit, cover, San Francisco win, and the over.
All right, man. And the over. All right, Anthony, we're all over here. Where's that leave?
All right.
I see your face working on a Sudoku.
I know you
guys
went too opposite. Well, I'm just changing the third part of the bet here. I'm rooting for the Lions. They're close enough to where I grew up, and between if Lions, Browns, Bills, they're all kind of in that woe is me type of atmosphere. So
Rust Belt Club. They're in the Rust Belt Club.
I was going to say, but I didn't want to hammer that home too much. But so it's really nice to see that, and I've gotten to watch a lot of Lions games recently. But they do. They bend, don't break, but they do give up a lot of points. And the Niners are scoring if they'll figure out how to score on this defense. However, I never get into that. Outside of maybe the Dolphins when they had to play in sub-freezing temperatures in Kansas City, the Dolphins weren't winning that game in Miami anyways, even if it was there. They were going to lose. So it's I don't ever like that. Oh, this team's not from around here. It's they're adults. They'll be just fine. I mean, Purdy struggled. They made a whole big deal about Purdy struggling in the rain and all this other stuff. They're playing in the same weather, so that's not a huge issue for me. And I think the Lions, everyone talks about all the weapons that Purdy has to try to, for some reason, say he's not good. That's what they always say. Well, he has all these weapons. Well, Goff gets a lot of credit, and Goff's got some great weapons, inside out. So, yeah. But I think Andy said it, where their defense, they're giving up 20 plus, regularly to average offenses. So, but I do think this train's going to keep going, and the Niners didn't look good. I mean, the Packers were on a hot streak and a heater, but the Lions didn't look good. And remember, the Niners hit that weird. I mean, they didn't have Debo, but they hit that weird patch mid-season where they lost, I think, four in a row.
4, I think.
And it looked kind of bleak, not bleak, but what's going on? So I'm going to take the Lions with the points and money line. I would just take the Lions to win it. 7.5 just seems nuts. They've been putting all these crazy big spreads.
Crazy.
I'm just debating on the over under, man. Just because one of these could get me some points versus you guys. I think the offenses, as opposed to the other ones, where the offenses are going to get the publicity, but the defenses are actually better. I think the defenses are going to break both of them on this one. So I'll take the over. So I got the Lions to win it. So the points, obviously, and then I'm just going to take the over because that seems like a more fun game for me to watch.
All right, man. There it is. Going to take it like that. Those are the picks officially for this week. Lions super disrespected. Guys, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm still on the fence about going to this game. I'm still watching ticket prices and flights, man. I might just go by myself, man.
In a couple weeks.
If they win this week, I'm going there as well.
I read the average ticket for nosebleeds is $9,000 for the Super Bowl.
On TickPick right now, they're like $8,700, but all of them are that you don't know where you're sitting yet and things because they haven't even handed the tickets out yet. So I think those will come down when tickets start to hit the market.
Vegas, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and Vegas, that's going to be a big deal, but I hope they're not that expensive, man. I'm gonna have to sell it.
Getting ahead of yourself here. You don't want to show up for the Chiefs Niners Super Bowl, do you?
No, I do not.
Yeah, the other good thing, nor would we. The other good thing is it feels weird that we would have back-to-back years to have both one seeds make the Super Bowl. It just doesn't happen very often, and part of me doesn't think it seems crazy that it could happen in back-to-back years again. So
it does. That's a good point.
Yeah, you usually get a wild card in there. I think I said that the first week. It was every year usually has one sneak in.
Yeah.
This would be the most open year, and then here we are. 1s and 3s, but the Lions could have easily been a 2 if they knew how to report to the refs correctly, right?
No, they did report to the ref correctly. The evidence is right on the film. That motherfucker looked right at Decker and shakes his head. Okay, while he's
there's your analytics. Why didn't they just kick? They were on the 7.
That was not analytics. That was him going, we're winning the fucking game. That was some old school college shit. We're going for 2, bitch. And it was
it was back in the 50. We're still going to go for 2.
I love it.
We should also say you should bet both dogs on the money line.
Yes.
Just do it regardless. Even if you don't want them to win, I want Detroit to win. I want Kansas City to win, but I want to bet the money lines regardless. You should just even doing that way. And if you're doing a teaser, right? If you're going to tease, if you think San Francisco's win, you can tease them down. If you like Detroit, tease them up. I don't think that teaser is going to lose personally, but what do I know? And then you should tease the Chiefs. Just get them to 10 and a half.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer, teasing the Chiefs. I've already got a bet on it both ways. I've got a bet on both of the dogs and money line. That's a no-brainer, man. Throw $5 on that. I forget what it pays, maybe $45-$50 on $5. So it's like, do it, man. Just do it. Yeah.
Whether they win or lose, you can still take Ravens -4. You can take whatever you want. But.
Yeah, right. You can do any of that stuff. But hey, guys, thank you again for being here. Some great games going to be going on this weekend, man. Everybody enjoy it. Drink responsibly, gamble responsibly, bet on the Lions responsibly, and have a great damn Sunday, fellas. Hey, thanks for being here again, and we'll see you next time. Hey, the Pistons are scrappy, but it's quickly looking like we got all our balls in that lottery bag. Down! All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works.